that was a bit of a break on the channel. I haven't done anything significant since last year. I did have quite a lot of illness. I did do a lot of photography at the Vintage Computer Festival, but I haven't actually provided a video yet. But I was back there this weekend at the Centre for Computing History in Cambridge to join in the part of their Made in Japan season, which is running for a month. It's covered on their website. The actual launched with a festival where a lot of enthusiasts for Japanese machines went along. Because the Sanyo, which we used to run Gilsoft, there's a video on the channel about that, was obviously made in Japan and literally ran our business. Plus another one we took over, which was the microcomputer trainer from Tandy Radio Shack, which of course is based on the Japanese GEC and R165 device. So we thought they might be of interest to people, and it's a good chance to meet up with everybody at the start of 2023 for one of the first events of the year. It's sort of bittersweet, I suppose, because they're one of the biggest users of the Sanyo MBC 555 was my mum, who was the company secretary for Gilsoft, who is another reason why I haven't done much in the way of videos now in 2023. Passed away sadly on the 31st of January. Hopefully we'll see some of the things that was created from that family effort, though. A little bit of discussion of some of the machines that I saw along the way from some fascinating people and good friends, and maybe a few pickups and a few news items about the new things that are in the museum since I last visited. So let's take a look at some photographs I took on the visit, shall we? So the mega processor in the foyer never ceases to amaze me, and there's always exhibits worth looking at. Good Sinclair collection with calculators and lots of documentation. And that's before you head into the two main exhibit areas, the classroom, where they've set up something for the younger kids. I was here opposite John Brown, and I took along the Sanyo MBC, my Epson printer, a lot of the old discs and software we use for word processing, finances, spreadsheets, Sage software. And I also took along the microprocessor trainer, which you'll have seen was based on the GEC with a sample page from the Japanese manual showing the same programs. Adrian Graham Binary Dinosaurs had a great selection of machines here. A couple of Epsons, a few, and this one's really interesting, a Canon POS machine of some kind, and of course he had his Sanyo MBC, but he had the clever CGA colour card, so I was fascinated to see the demo running in colour. But we'll come back to that later, because actually you don't really need that expensive posh card. And of course he had some great Sharps with a huge printer, and this lovely little machine as well. That continued on into the next exhibit alongside, which of course is Here Be Dragons, Tony Jewell, who continued the Sharp theme. His MZs were playing Defender and Space Cruiser, including a colour outlet one, while he also had a small Hitachi plays in Maisie and a Yamaha CX-5M with a keyboard attached, which people love playing with. John Newcomb at Glass TTY brought along a selection of small computers, especially these HX20s, one of which is laid out as components for you to see the inside, and the other was hooked up to what was an X-Beowulf Pi cluster underneath, running a PDP emulation, I think, playing Adventure and being able to access the system, which was really clever. And on the end he had a good selection of the other small portables, some of which were Tony's on loan. Roy Templeman, Loud Scots bloke, was there as well, and he brought his Not Sword M5 and his PC 8001 and a little Sanyo and his Sega PC he was quite proud of, branded differently, and a cost-reduced version of the PC 8001 along with a PV200, I think, a 2000 is it? Yeah, PV2000. And he's also got a this is a Fujitsu, I think, Micro 8. And finally one on the end, the RX-78. Finally in this classroom we've got John Brown, J. Crowley, and he brought along two machines that are pretty unusual, the FM Towns Marty and of course the Casio Loopy, which of course he said was pretty loopy in his idea of what a 50-year-old bloke thought a young girl might want to play with and print stickers. The museum themselves have fielded quite a few machines in these lovely wheelie boxes. This is the Sanyo MBC 4050, and along next to it we've also got the Micronetworks KDS. What else we got here is a Canon AS100, the FM Towns, lovely looking machine with front loading CD, and we've got an NEC 8801. They've also got out their Sharp X1 and this KDS machine as well, and little Epson PC, the QX10, and they've also got this APC machine. And elsewhere you can find this ABC26. That was quite interesting because they run to 8 programs simultaneously and manage 7 workstations running NPM. Interesting. They also had a few examples of magazines. They had the Olivetti out, and they had a number of consoles under glass cases. These are there all for the whole month, I think, of the April. And a few of the TV game machines. So well worth a little look around the museum itself, even if the exhibitions aren't, the special exhibition isn't on. There we are. So that's the Made in Japan exhibits from the actual museum themselves. Oh, and of course this is quite interesting, this pachinko machine. So the main exhibition hall had this collection. We're looking at Adrian's, who's actually in this photograph at the towards the front, chatting to Dan Wilkin, I think, with Quang looking on when he's setting up. He's got a selection of various machines here, setting up from NEC. And we've also got these unusual one there, so a bit closer view of them. So lots of games to play, a Neo Geo of course, and another Neo Geo box. So around the corner you've got Dan's pretty amazing display of the specialist controllers to play this game called Densha Go, which I'd not come across before. A few of us had a go on it, but essentially these are the controls for a train. So you've got the dead man's handle and the accelerator, and there's a number of machines. You have a PlayStation, a Wii, and it's basically a train driving simulation, which is really quite relaxing. As you have to drive at the station, not too slowly, not too fast, get the right number of things in, various challenges, and this wonderful display he had for the shops. It was really great, really good exhibition piece. Then we got quite a good collection here from Phil Searle. We'll take a closer look at that as we go through. And of course you've a version of the machine that we saw in the other room, but this one with the actual Sega logo. Can't remember exactly what was special about this machine, but well worth looking at. And then you've got the Sega Saturn development kit, and this is actually this TV which he was using to display one of the consoles. This one, Sega Mark III. That TV is actually a Dreamcast inside, built in.
So half of this is power, half of it is mode switching.
Right.
So they just reused the on-screen display to make a little progress bar to hide the Dreamcast booting up.
That's really cool. Different.
I needed a remote because the plan was I'd run the Dreamcast and then I'd have the RF input coming from here.
Right.
And this is the telecom pack for the Mark III. So you have your really short joypad next to you.
Right.
And the video goes wirelessly across the room.
Wow.
But you need the remote to tune it in.
Right, okay.
At home.
And this lovely little drawing pad understood what you were doing as they moved the pages around the book. I didn't record Philip talking about the Tera drive, but it is based on an ISA PS2 Model 30, and it's got a built-in Mega Drive and PS2 which work together so that both machines run and they can communicate with each other, so you can do quite a lot of clever things with this. So we're looking down here, we've come around the corner now, we're looking down. I think these machines were presented by the museum. And they've got obviously a Sony PSX, another FM Towns Marty, and you've also got this Epoch Super Cassette Vision. Wasn't actually playing anything when I looked at it. We've got a Sharp Famicom, and this Othello Multivision PC Engine. So good selection of pieces, and then we come on to Quang's quite impressive collection of various machines, mostly boxed. So we'll done this GEC and Compact Vision in a minute, including let's see what Quang's got to say about the games that were for it.
You got Robocon Wars, which is Robotron.
Yeah.
2000X, which is like tank.
Yeah.
Mr. Bomb, you just drop bombs and defuse them. You got Excite Invader, which is Space Invaders but sideways.
Yeah.
The artwork's beautiful in these.
I love the silver on the cases.
Choplifter.
Yeah.
Sorry, not Choplifter.
Scramble. Super Cobra.
Super Cobra. And Frogger.
Frogger.
So yeah, the license.
I love that.
So Konami licensed.
Yeah.
Beautiful artwork. So those two were Konami licensed, and then these are three original games, I would say.
Moving on, we got the PV1000, and he's got quite a lot of the boxes were really lovely for all of these, just to see them all together, and such a variety of machines from Sega. Really, most of the manufacturers, an unusual thing to see in the wild. This is I think the Commodore Max, not much seen outside of Japan. You've obviously got these ones as several versions of games, and then on the very end I think this is a Pong clone, which was a very early machine, actually, with a removable Pong chip, it looks like, so you could play other things just to control, and he had a cracking box for that as well. I stayed the night at the Madiney Hall, which is a lovely place. If the students are out, the rooms are available, so well worth a place. Little way out though, so I had to get a taxi in to get some beers at the Devonshire Arms. That's acquired a new landlady that night, so a good time was had by all. The next day was a bit quiet, so I was able to go and have a little look at this new GEC machine the museum's acquired, and the Alpha Micro, which of course, if you haven't come across one of these, an AM100 is one of the first machines I learned to program assembly on, and we'll be covering that in a video. The second day, as I said, was quiet, which let us poke about the machines. And this is, here we are, actual colour on the Sanyo. As developed, that's unbelievable. So, and it's all in the manual. See, RTFM, everybody. I would have thought reading the manual would give you something to do, but it's using a little bit of magic from Tony. Look at that. So it needs something, but that port there, it gives out colour. Hey, thank you, Tony.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you. As you can see, Adrian was quite fascinated to learn that his machine could do it without the cards as well. Hopefully you enjoyed that collection of photos, a couple of short bits of video. I didn't originally plan to make a video there, but it was good to get there and probably a good first one to pick up. And of course you can't go somewhere where some retro enthusiasts and not have on offer a collection of some more retro kit. So I was lucky enough to get this 386 motherboard. In fact, there was quite a few of them drifting around. Pete tried to throw one through the window of my car on the way out. I did want particularly an 8-inch drive. That's obviously a 5 1/4 inch disc to show you the size, so that'll be something interesting to have a little look at on the channel. There was modems galore. They were given away to someone had scrapped an old these are actually 48 volt telco modems. I'd had one because it looked quite useful, but ended up with two because we had so many. We were trying to give them away to the customers, but loads of people went away happy with those, I think. And part of that delivery came with a caveat to help out with clean up some bigger machines. So I've got a QBus card, which is great fun. Hopefully we'll look at something moving forward with that, because we're going to have to play with this tape drive at some point, aren't we? Which is going to be quite an interesting task looking forward. As I said, I didn't take a lot of video. Normally I would have chatted to people about the machines they had. Luckily enough, I didn't have to. Peak camera in hand and eventually mobile phone. Did go and chat to all the major exhibitors, so keep an eye on the Centre for Computing History's site, who will be launching a full-length video with some quality footage and interviews with people like this.
Okay, next up we've got a machine that I personally love.
Yeah.
Is the Casio PV2000.
It's a lovely machine. Lovely because it's terrible.
This has actually got a new keyboard, I can see, because the other ones just fall apart.
They just dissolve. Yeah. It will be the worst keyboard you ever use because there's just no feedback. It's even worse than the ZX80 and the ZX81. It's a worse keyboard than that.
Wow.
But I love it because it's so bad.
That was made in Japan, and hopefully you'll see you soon at one of the retro shows, maybe Zap or Crash, and if not, the Retro Festival at the Centre for Computing History in November. I'm hoping to be at most of those. So it was a nice break after what had been quite a traumatic time. So see you all in the next video. Hopefully I'll be able to get back on track.